guys, it's Emma and I'm back today for you with another video, and today I'm going to be giving y'all some recommendations for books with religious horror. It is now highly apparent to me that I love the subgenre of religious horror. It strikes such a primal chord of fear in me personally that it's just very effective. I feel these particular religious horror books can be read by people who are not particularly religious. I know I've gotten a few people asking me that whenever I recommend Between Two Fires. Don't get me wrong, I do think it hits home a little harder if you are particularly religious, but I still think that if you are not religious, these horror books will still hit home in many different ways, particularly with the horror elements. So before we actually get started, I would really, really appreciate it if you guys would look down in the description box for all the links there that I have for you guys pertaining to stuff going on in the world right now. And those links will be down there for you guys to interact with and to share. And then down in the comment section, let me know what y'all's favorite subgenre of horror is, whether you like religious horror, what y'all's recommendations would be, because I'm always looking for religious horror books now. All right, it's a habit, I can't help it. Okay, so with that being said, let's just get running into it. The first book that I would like to recommend to fans of religious horror is Fever House by Keith Rosson. This starts off with two dudes who are gonna go collect drug money, and in the dude's house they find this severed hand in the fridge, and they discover that anybody within proximity of this hand just becomes incredibly violent, almost like a bloodlust. And shortly after finding this hand, horrific, catastrophic events start happening. As the hand gets further into the city, more and more people start being affected by it. There's this dark op government agency that comes out of the woodworks that's actually tracking the hand. It's a whole thing. The one thing that I really love about Fever House, of course it's religious horror, but it's also got a really cool take on zombies. Okay, this could be a zombie book if you're really into zombies. These zombies, I guess, in a way remind me of those from 28 Days Later, which, yes, okay, they're not technically zombies.
I'd stand back, she's gonna blow.
But they fit the zombie theme. This book is incredibly eerie, very fast-paced, very action-packed, incredibly ferocious. Some of the imagery in this book has stayed with me, and it's just, it's so creepy. I honestly liken the feeling of Fever House to how it feels watching Legion. I think it was a 2010 movie. I don't know, I'll put the cover of it up here. It's one of my favorite movies. It's also a religious horror movie. They're just both very fast-paced, very action-packed, very gritty, very creepy, and just, I really want to read the sequel, and I hope that the sequel does not spit on the first one. I think we all know what I mean. The second book that I want to recommend to fans of religious horror, honestly, the pinnacle of religious horror, to me personally, okay, is Between Two Fires by Christopher Buehlman.
This is art, Mr. White.
This book is set in France during the time when the plague is completely decimating it, and we follow a knight, a priest, and a little girl. The knight is trying to find a chance at salvation, the priest is completely drowning in guilt, and the little girl is following premonitions and instructions from angels, both terrible and beautiful. And we follow these three as they go across the French countryside in order to try and save humanity. I'm gonna tell y'all right now, Between Two Fires is one of the most nightmarish books I've ever read in my life. The shit that is in this book,
And I kid you not, I have seen some shit,
is some of the most disturbing shit I've ever read. Some of the imagery in this book, very much like Fever House, honestly a little worse, has stayed with me through my waking life. And at the same time, this is also one of the most heartwarming books I've ever read in my life. And I love that shit, all right? I love it when books give me emotional whiplash. The found family in this book is one of the most heartwarming and one of the best things about it, okay? Like I said, these three people are witnessing literal nightmare fuel hourly, okay? And it's just the way that they all stay together. You will be so invested in the survival of these three characters Between Two Fires fits so many different niches of horror because 1, it's medieval horror, 2, it's historical fiction horror, and it's the continuous theme of evil constantly working against good, and we see that struggle everywhere in this book. Everywhere. Viscerally so. I said this in another video, this book is divided up into parts, and each part has its own, I guess, little introduction, I guess for lack of a better word. But part 1 particularly is written in such a way that it reminded me of religious texts, particularly Genesis. And I think that similarity is just that much creepier. It's just the way this book is written. This book is written in such a way that it is so hard-hitting and yet at the same time so subtle that it just hits you in the damn face. Okay, the next book that I would like to recommend to people who love to frequent the subgenre of religious horror is Hellmouth by Giles Kristian. This is a story about a group of disgraced knights turned mercenaries who are on a mission for Mother Church, and they go into this Bohemian forest in like the 1300s, I think, in order to deal with this religious problem that the peasants are having. And let's just say this religious problem turns out to be a horrifyingly dark secret. Hellmouth is a story that's inspired, I think, by the legend of, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Huska Castle, which was built in the 13th century in Bohemia, which I believe is now modern-day Czech Republic. Now, we want to talk about horrifying imagery.
You want to talk about vampires? Oh.
Yes, Between Two Fires, yes, Fever House have both left impressions in my mind. Hellmouth left a footprint. There is one piece of this book, obviously I can't say it because it's a spoiler, but take my word for it, this book has some of the most, excuse me, fucked up imagery I've ever read about. This book is just supremely bizarre and horrifying at the same time, and it hits you like that. Like Between Two Fires, this book is not only medieval horror, which I'm finding out I really enjoy that subgenre as well, and it is also historical fiction horror. This book is very short, but it packs a punch, and it does it incredibly efficiently because it is that short. The next book that I want to recommend to y'all is probably a book that I absolutely adore recommending, just in general, and that is Little Heaven by Nick Cutter. This is about a trio of mercenaries who get hired by an aunt in order to go and check on her nephew who's been taken by his dad to a remote backwoods settlement in New Mexico. Soon after they arrive, paranoia and distrust starts to grip the settlement, and hell invades Little Heaven. This book is one of many precious things to me, one of them being that this book is one of my favorite horror books of all time, 2, this book is one of my favorite books in general of all time, and 3, this book is one of my favorite cult books of all time. This book is incredibly atmospheric. You definitely feel the isolation, you definitely feel that something is just wrong. There is something that is wrong here, inherently wrong, and it bleeds through the entire book, and it just leaves you feeling dreadful. I would say this is a Western. Little Heaven is a bittersweet book. It pulls all the punches from every single emotion that it elicits from you, because it does. It elicits damn near every single emotion across the spectrum, and every emotion that it elicits has a bittersweet tang to it, whether it be happy, scary, creepy. It's also one of the most disturbing books I've ever read. Lastly, I have a thing for great first chapters. If your book has a sucky first chapter, girlfriend, we're already starting off on the wrong foot. But Little Heaven's prologue it's one of the weirdest and just creepiest things I've ever read about. It is so grossly fascinating. This book is awesome. One of the best books I've read of the entire year. I would like to recommend Ring Shout by P. Djèlí Clark. This is set in 1915, and the birth of a nation has cast a spell across America. With the birth of a nation spreading throughout America, this spell unleashes these demons called Ku Kluxes, and they ride around in the shape of KKK members, and just KKK members in general also ride around, going around spreading hate and fear and violence. And we follow Maurice Boudreaux and her band of rebels as they go around trying to kill off as many Ku Kluxes as they can. But something horrendous is brewing in Macon, Georgia, and the war on hell is about to take a vicious step up. Like how Fever House reminded me of Legion, Ring Shout reminds me of Constantine, which is another one of my favorite movies. Ring Shout also fills so many subgenres that I'm discovering I really like. 1, it's alternate history. 2, it's historical fiction horror. 3, it's body horror. Some of the shit in here is just so weird to look at. It's so weird. And then also 4, it is Southern Gothic, which is right up my alley.
You just stop playing. I mean, if they give me one right now, tear it up live.
I don't know, quite honestly, how many times I can get on a roof and just yell to the public about how amazing Ring Shout is. Mind you, this book is less than 200 pages long, and it efficiently produces a story that is fast, action-packed, gory, tear-jerking, terrifying, has good characters, has weird and just creepy villains, has a compelling story. Many people should take lessons from Ring Shout. That's all I'm gonna say. Ring Shout also incorporates a lot of the spirituality of the Gullah people, particularly with the title. Lastly, a little send-off. When I first saw this, I knew that I was gonna love this book. And that is the title page. Not the cover, but the title page. You flip the cover open and then it says Ring Shout, or Hunting Ku Kluxes in the End Times. And all I gotta say is, badass. Like Little Heaven, this book that I'm about to recommend to y'all now is another book that I absolutely adore recommending, just in general, and that is Our Share of Night by Mariana Enriquez. This is about a father and a son who have lost the mother of the family, and they are currently running from the maternal side of the family because the maternal side of the family runs a cult that is so deeply ingrained in Argentinian society and is so ruthless that they want the boy, and they will go to any lengths to get the boy, but the dad over his dead body. And it's the story of them running from the cult. Take a shot every single time I say Like Little Heaven. But like Little Heaven, this book is very dreadful. All right, the entire time I was reading this, I just felt this immense cloud of dread over my head, because this situation that the dad and the son are both in feels completely hopeless. As I said in the synopsis, this cult is so deeply ingrained in the society that they live in, so they literally cannot trust anybody. And with that being said, they're not just running from people, okay? They're not just running from the cult. They're not just running from the cops who are run by the cult. They are also running from supernatural shit as well. This book is dense, not gonna lie. This book did kind of take me a month to finish, but damn, it is so good. It has so many things that make it a perfect cult book, that make it a perfect supernatural book, that make it a perfect religious horror book. There's demons, there's murder, there's seances, there's mediums, there's just a lot of really dark, scary, and disturbing stuff in this book. This book is dark and brutal. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you, but damn, is it so compelling and fascinating, because you just want to see this dad and his son just make it, just once, just for a little bit. Another thing that I really enjoyed about Our Share of Night is the fact that it's very subtle with its horror elements. At least I think so. It's kind of a creeping horror, which makes sense considering the fact that so many of the things that our characters have to be scared of and wary of and just run from in general are mundane. They're everyday. Last little selling point, this book, I can count on one hand, okay, the amount of books that have genuinely given me nightmares. This one did. This one did. I woke up in a cold sweat. This book is one of my favorite books of all time. It's one of my favorite horror books of all time. It's one of my favorite books to ever recommend. I think this book is just absolutely amazing. Yes, it's very dense. Yes, it throws everything but the kitchen sink at you. but it's so worth it. It's such a good and compelling and fascinating story, and it's so tragic and dreadful and scary and just gross, but it's so good. Lastly, if you are a fan of religious horror, I would like to recommend Revelator by Daryl Gregory. This book is about Stella, who at 9 years old is left with her grandmother to be raised in the backwoods of Tennessee. And while she is there, she makes contact with the family's personal deity, personal god, known as the Ghost Daddy. After an accident that made Stella flee and never return, she comes back for her grandmother's funeral and to also check in on the mysterious little girl named Sunny that her grandmother has adopted. Sunny is more powerful than Stella could ever have imagined and is a direct link to the destructive secrets of Stella's past. This book is also a cult book. It's also Southern Gothic. I love Southern Gothic books. If y'all have any Southern Gothic recommendations for me, please leave them in the comments. I absolutely eat them up. It's very creepy and very atmospheric. You really get the feeling of the isolation that Stella feels. What I really find fascinating about Revelator is the theme of battling generational horror. And of course, generational horror can be a metaphor for so many different things. But in this book, we are battling horror that has been passed down from parent to child and so on and so forth. And it is so deeply ingrained in this familial relationship that it almost feels like if you don't want to be a part of this generational passing down, then what are you to the family? And that really comes into play along with the horror elements. This isn't one of my favorite books ever, but in terms of religious horror, this definitely fits the bill. So you guys, those were my recommendations for religious horror books. I hope that you've enjoyed. I really do hope that you'll check all of these books out. These books happen to be some of my favorite books, or just in general, I really want you to read them. So maybe you should.
Yes, do that little thing.
With that being said, you guys, I hope that you've enjoyed. I hope you continue to look out for more stuff on my channel. I hope that you guys are staying safe. And lastly, I hope that you guys have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.